Let's get into it. Coach Colin here, Soul Not For Sale podcast. We got Joe Rogan. First off, you know exactly what we're talking about when I got this shirt on. If you don't know who that is, oh man, that's that's one of the guys. Anyways, we're talking about Epstein, of course, and Joe Rogan is going to be touching on that, exploring the weirdness of that whole case, you know, giving his insights on it as well as his guest. And then we're going to move on to talk about just the oddness. Well, basically, I wanted to do a little update, you know, because I was listening to the clip and I'm like, you know what? I haven't heard about that case in a while. And I was looking into it and there was a bunch of stuff from years ago. And I was like, I want an update on this year. What's been going on this year? And that's what I'm going to bring you guys. And I got to say, I found it a little odd how that case is actually being covered nowadays. We'll get into that once we're done this clip. Don't forget about the new channel I got, Coach Colin Media. It's where I break away from the Rogan content. We got 81 videos. There's a link in the description. Hit that subscribe button if you feel like it. But believe me, it's great content going on there. But for now, let's get to this Rogan clip.
I also think, cynically, I think there's a lot of really dumb ones. And there's a lot of ones that are like a little smarter than dumb. And then there's a lot of ones that are really smart. And there's a lot of ones that are like, oh my God, if this is true, this changes everything. And they all lump them in together. And it's genius. It's genius. Because if you only look at the ones that are like the Federal Reserve isn't federal. Wait a minute. Where's it?
Right,
what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
You know, like when you just look at one or two of those, it's so confounding that that's actually taking place right now. That you need like a little flat earth thrown in there, a little fucking Pizzagate, a little Hillary Clinton's laptop, they're eating babies, a little, you know, so you can sneak in Epstein's Island. Like that was a real place, man.
Yeah.
That was a real place.
Yeah.
And the way a place like that can kind of fly in under the radar is if there's a bunch of fake stuff. So don't go to Antarctica. There's an alien base. You know, there's like the more nutty shit they can get you to think about, the more real things you should be really concerned about sneak through.
Yeah. Do you think that's intentional? Or you think
100%.
People just
100%.
spiral with other stuff?
Both.
Yeah.
Both.
I think it's both probably.
It's both. Yeah. But they're playing on the fact, even if the government wasn't encouraging people to go insane, they would still go insane. They would still have conspiracy theories. But without a doubt, foreign governments are on TikTok and on Instagram and on Facebook, and they are influencing people to go in a very specific direction. And how much of a percentage is it? If their algorithm encourages like trans positive content, how much does that move the public narrative? It's not zero. It's not zero.
No.
So if you got two ships and they're both going in the same direction, parallel lines, and I could turn this one ship just like that, just a little bit. I just need like a couple of degrees of turn. Over time, that motherfucker's going to be way off course.
Yeah.
Way off course.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's happening.
That's
fucking sure.
That's the way war is waged now.
And it's also happening with people that think they're doing the right thing. Like we were talking about Google the other day and like how YouTube censors things. Like what they think they're doing it. They think they're doing the right thing.
Right.
I was reading. Is this true that Gas Digital's all their stuff got taken off the air?
I think they got taken down again on YouTube. I think. Yeah. I don't know if you mean like their website and everything.
No, their YouTube page.
Yeah, they got taken down again. Yeah.
There's one video where this comic that works with Lewis was saying that all they were doing in this podcast is talking about how big Dick was. This guy had a giant hog. They were talking about this guy, and they got their shit removed for that.
It's up now.
It's back.
It's a different page.
So it's back.
Like the specials and stuff.
Yeah.
So what were they saying? Oh, is it? Maybe I'm looking at something. Maybe it was a clip of something that happened in the past.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics of it at all.
It was one of those. It was either an Instagram reel or one of them YouTube shorts. You know, one of those things like that.
Yeah.
He was talking about how they took it down because he was talking about how big a dude's hog was.
Yeah, that doesn't seem.
Oh, it's bullying.
Yeah.
It is big dick.
When you're looking at you're talking about Jeffrey Epstein's island. A lot of people don't talk about his ranch in New Mexico.
Yeah, and his mansion. I mean, it was popping off at all his spots.
He built a 26,700 square foot mansion with a sprawling courtyard and a living room, roughly the size of the American home. Nearby was a private airstrip with a hangar and helipad. The property also included a ranch office, a firehouse, and a 7-bay heated garage. Yeah, that sounds like an intelligence agent. Right out of a fucking movie.
Yeah, and we're never
luring all the politicians into the honeypot.
Yeah.
And how many people died because of that?
We're never going to know. They're never going to let us. We'll never know.
What a fucking genius con.
Yeah.
What a genius con. You get some guy, you say he's a billionaire, you just give him like a fucking blank checkbook, which when you're spending $170 billion on Ukraine and $136 billion here and $46 billion there, and we got to upgrade that and just let these people in, and that costs $30 trillion. Like fucking, What's a billion?
That's right, yeah.
What's a billion to control literally the greatest scientists and entertainers and politicians? And just get them all convinced.
Yeah.
Look, Bill's here. Look who's here. Stephen Hawking's here. Look, this guy's here. Look at this Nobel laureates here. Look at all these brilliant, esteemed scientists. Look at these amazing conversations. Look how beautiful these women are. It's like everybody says that, if you went there, you'd be a real piece of shit. If you're going to a place where, what is the actual list? Who's on the actual list? There's some pretty fascinating people. If you got invited to that party, you didn't know what the fuck is going on. Magician David Copperfield reappears. Jeffrey Epstein court, poof, reappears. With lawyers suggesting he traded tickets for girls. Tickets for his shows? Is his show that hot? Jesus Christ. How cheap are these girls? Because how much does his tickets to his show cost?
I don't know. I don't know the magic. I don't know the magic hierarchy.
Talk about overvaluing what you're worth.
Yeah.
If you give me a sex slave, I'll give you tickets to my show.
I'll give you tickets to my magic show. Not even a Chris Angel show either.
But what a brilliant move if you can. Question number one. Were they all underage? Were some of them of age? Do we know how that worked? Because even if they weren't underage is the best. If you want to get some blackmail, that's the best. But you can still bust quite a few guys with of age.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you're giving them a little yayo.
Yeah.
We're on an island. You ain't going to do
There's no
yayo?
rules. Yeah. Yeah.
Woo! We're the elite. We're the fucking Illuminati, Bill. I am.
Yeah, just cheating on your wife is enough.
Enough. That's enough.
Yeah.
We're publicly having it so that they can trot it out there. Anytime there's an election, anytime there's there's a vote they want you to vote in one way or another way, they always have that. Always have that.
Just a little reminder out there.
You just keep that fucking thing in the back of your head, I gotta shut the fuck up and toe the line. I gotta shut the fuck up and toe the line.
There's no better way to control someone.
No better way, and it's so brilliant and ancient. It's like an ancient strategy, and it was. First of all, is there another one going on right now that we don't know about?
Of course.
Like that at that level?
Of course.
It seems like that guy
so
was
effective. Why would you stop?
I think you need a combination of things to do it at that guy's level. By all accounts, he was a brilliant guy, which is wild, right? And you have to be also a sick fuck, which he obviously was, and also an intelligence agent. So do you just become that sick fuck over the course of, you hear about DEA agents, they start dealing drugs. Once they get in there, they're like undercover, and then they fucking live the life, and they start actually dealing drugs. It happens.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe the guy just became a fucking sociopath, psychopath?
So fascinating.
From just dealing with the life that he was, that's his job. His job is to trick politicians into fucking underage girls and get them coked up and bring them into this place that's cameras everywhere. These fucking idiots don't know that there's going to be cameras everywhere. And you set this up. And this is what you do for a living for 30 years or however long he did it?
It's fascinating to think about. I think two things. I think everyone wants to be someone, right? Everyone wants to be someone, have an exciting life. And then I think people have a myriad of, they have just your moral compass from your family or whatever's on a scale. So that's a factor. And then, but the more important factor is everyone has those moments in their life where things are offered to them, and you go this way, you're going to get some exciting stuff, but you're going to have to compromise your moral compass, and people make that decision. Fame and power, it's like the ultimate elixir.
It's also the people that you're around. Because we were talking about, we love being around comics. It's fun. It's our lifestyle. It's how we like to talk. They like being around others. They like being around other people that are taking over businesses, hostile takeovers. They like to be around the guys who influence foreign governments, the guys who fly over in private jets and sit with their legs crossed with Italian shoes on. And they have conversations about clean energy, and what they really want to do is control all the fucking food, control the farmlands. We have to reduce the methane from these cows, and the best way to do it is just take the cows away from the farmers. If we just control the cows, if we have a climate change mandate and we control the farms, it's basically game over. They're literally doing that.
All bad guys have a British accent.
There's no reason why you would say we shouldn't have cows. Unless you're a fucking complete sociopath. You're not going after the coal plants first. No, you want people to get rid of cows? Are you sure this is a good strategy? Do you understand starvation? Do you understand how that works? You're not going to grow cows, are you? No, you need someone to grow cows. And you're going to take their cows away?
Well, we all know what that's about. Yeah, that's about Agenda 2030. And honestly, I keep bringing that up when it comes to the cows and everything. That's what they did in Cuba. It's a very easy thing to look up. that no, like, people who think like, oh, this is all conspiracy. They do this in places where communism and authoritarianism takes over. They do that exact thing. They say, oh, we got to get rid of this. Or they come to you and they say, oh, you know what? We're going to buy them. You're going to make a bunch of money off of everything that comes from the cow. And then they come back the next day and they say, you own nothing. That's it. They say you own nothing. Except their motto, in Cuba is like, you own nothing and you can be happy or not. It's fine. Either way, we'll give you that freedom. You can be upset. But if you say you're upset, well, then we're going to come and get you at night. That's it's a real thing. It's a real thing that people kind of discard. Now, I just want to bring up something that he said at the beginning. He brought up Antarctica. Let me tell you something. I'm not a flat earther. Okay, I'm not. But if you're going to tell me there's nothing going on with Antarctica, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. The one thing every nation in the world can agree on is that you, me, and you cannot go to Antarctica. They've decided we can't just go there and explore. We can't buy land there. We can't just go on excursions and go throughout the whole place. And then they'll tell you, oh, somebody walked across Antarctica. But what actually happens is they go, you can walk from here to there. Don't go this way. Don't go that way. Something's up with Antarctica. Whether it's a science lab where they're testing things that if things break out, they can't survive in the cold. Whatever it is, a hole, because that's what maps used to show. Maps used to show there's a big hole. People think that's what Hollow Earth is all about. Whatever it is, something's going on there. There's not nothing. It's not just cold and snow. And then some people bring up little pictures and satellite pictures and little things that look like, well, probably massive things that look like pyramids. Listen, something's going on. Okay? That's when he's talking about conspiracy theories and some real ones get lumped in with the dumb ones. That's a real one that gets lumped in as a dumb one. Okay? But everybody who tells you that it's dumb hasn't gone to Antarctica. You know why? They're not allowed. They're not allowed. If they tried to fly there, they get shot down. Oh, I'm just saying. All right, that's the end of my TED Talk when it comes to Antarctica. And then Hillary's laptop. Listen, I'm not even gonna. Hey, that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Something's going on with that lady. I'm just saying. Anyways, let's move on. But a little update. I found it so odd. Just how the media is even covering this case now. Now, everybody knows what everybody wants to know. Who were the people and when are they going to jail alongside of her? She has been served a 20-year sentence. And every single thing I look for in regards to her and who were the clients, it just keeps coming up. Oh, she's appealing. NY court appeals. Oh, they want to toss the verdict because Epstein signed a non-prosecution clause for him and anyone around him, and she was someone around him, so she thinks it should be thrown out and she shouldn't have to be in jail. Absolutely crazy. You'd have to take the way out that your buddy took, supposedly. I don't know. I don't really think he did, but you just keep looking and this is all you find. She's bitter that she's the only one. Like, you're the New York, this is the New York Post. You're the New York Post, right? You're the New York Post. And what you're looking into is the fact that she's bitter that only a woman herself has faced justice for Epstein's crimes. What does that even mean? Who cares if she's a woman? Who are the clients? Right? They'll show things like this. They'll show, right? They'll show stuff like that, but they're not saying anything. Here, let me even just play this really quick, just in
1993.
Case.
There is no indication the sealed records contain evidence of illegal.
Senior correspondent Eric Shawn has that story tonight from New York.
Jeffrey Epstein may have been a notorious sex offender, but he was also accepted into the highest levels of the nation's financial and political circles. And now we will likely get a new peek inside his world. The identities of more than 170 people expected to be revealed after a New York federal judge ruled there was no legal justification to still keep the names of Epstein's friends a secret. ABC News reports former President Bill Clinton is mentioned 50 times, previously as John Doe number 36. Here you see him shaking hands with Epstein, along with Epstein's sometimes girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, in 1993. There is no indication the sealed records contain evidence of illegal conduct by Clinton. The court filings will be released as part of a settled civil lawsuit from one of Epstein's accusers, Virginia Giuffre. Giuffre says she was sex trafficked by Epstein and Maxwell starting when she was 16 years old. She claims she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew and sued him. He denied it, and the case was settled out of court. Reports also show old flight logs named Clinton, as well as former President Donald Trump and a host of other top business and political names as passengers who flew in Epstein's private jets. There is no indication they did anything wrong.
You may also recall that Epstein was found dead in his jail cell in downtown Manhattan in 20.
Yes, we all know he jumped on a plane and flew away, and everybody said something else. That's just what I think. Possibly. I mean, just if you look into Robert Maxwell, he kind of passed away the same, not the same way, but the same very curious timing. Right as everything was about to hit the fan, he passed away. Same thing happened with Epstein. So it seems, and when I say Maxwell, I'm talking about Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine's father. So I don't know. It just seems very interesting. But you see what I mean? Like, this came out. When did this come out? This was January 2024. So I was just looking for things that are in 2024. And then we got released. What we got released were a bunch of transcripts that just said this person and that person. It didn't really name. There's no list, and none of these people are going to jail. So it's like, what's going on with this whole thing? Then I read this article here. Bombshells. Again, like, what these people are choosing to cover is so weird. So the bombshells are, Maxwell thinks she did nothing wrong. Not one thing, Obviously, she did some things wrong in her life. That's what this is saying. And this is her lawyer relaying this information. I'm sure she believes she's done wrong things in life, but not regarding the charges. She's very popular in prison. If you're talking to her lawyer, it's just like, hey, who are the people? And why? And forget these transcripts and everything. You just say who the people are. How is that not happening? And here's the thing, it must have happened, right? Some person in some agency or law enforcement must have said, hey, who were the people? Who's the most notable person that was a part of this? Nothing? It's so weird. And then, I mean, even if I go through this, she's just saying she's very popular, which sounds odd. She's very well liked for the reasons that she can speak Spanish. And basically, she helps a lot of Spanish people get their sentences shortened, or terminated altogether. So that's what's making her popular. She has a reputation for making it so people don't have to stay in jail as long, which is absolutely wild. Her ex-husband is likely paying her bills. There is no mention of Maxwell by the woman until Epstein's death. And then they had the time of their lives. So this is basically her saying all the women involved actually had the time of their lives, which is a real thing. That's really what she's suggesting. She's saying, like, all these women are saying all this now, but a lot of them were saying it was the time of their lives. They were eating caviar and flying on private jets. Okay. And to Joe's question, if there was anybody underage, there was one that was underage, but she didn't remain underage because she was in this operation for so long, and then the rest of them were of age. But like they said, you can get people on of age or under, either way. Your wife just cares that you cheated on her, right? She'll be a little more disgusted if it goes the other way, the under way, but either way, she's gonna want a divorce, right? So. And it's going to throw your world upside down. And if she comes forward and says why she's getting a divorce from you, then all of a sudden your career's done. And then she isn't optimistic about her appeal. They want to take it up to the Supreme Court. They want to take this case up to the Supreme Court because she feels, because of the non-prosecution clause that Epstein signed, that she should be set free the same way Bill Cosby was set free. She actually mentioned Cosby in that article. But again, every time you go through it, no one is focusing on the people. The fact that they're focusing on the appeal, who cares about the appeal? Who cares? What about all the people involved? And all of them. Like, they just keep, obviously they mention Trump being on flights because it's election time and it's like great time to take a little jab at Trump. Obviously, they mention Clinton because it's hard not to if he's mentioned so many times, and and also he's just one of those guys who people aren't even surprised to hear that he's been mentioned so many times within this whole operation. But it's like, what about the other people? What about any possible judges, politicians, heads of industry, heads of computer software companies, perhaps? I don't know. I'm just saying things out loud here. Like, what about all these people? First of all, Prince Andrew settled out of court. I don't know what that's about. Sounds like it's about being guilty. Maybe he just wants it out of his hair. Maybe he just has access to money like that where he's just like, just settle it. I don't want to drag this out. I don't know. I wouldn't settle if I wasn't guilty, But also, I like to stick around my wife. I'm just going to stay around my wife. That's what I like to do. I'm in this studio, and I go hang out with my wife and my baby. And sometimes I see a friend for an hour. Maybe, if I have the time. I have 2 channels now. I can't play around. You know what I mean? So, to what Joe Rogan said, what's $1 billion? I really do think he was a federal agent, Mossad, whatever, intelligence, and then for him to say that a lot of these companies that are censoring think that they're doing the right thing. I think the Twitter files showed that that's not true. I think the Twitter files showed that there's a bit of intimidation if an agency or some organization's coming to you and saying, this is fake, just so you know, this is Russian propaganda. Now tell me, are you a company that's going to stand for Russian propaganda being on your website? And of course, the executives are going to be like, oh, no. Are you going to stand for something that possibly makes Trump look good? You're not really going to do that. In the most left-leaning type of industry there is, tech, they're going to be like, no, of course not. There's a lot of MAGA Republican extremists on your site. You wouldn't actually have a problem with just silencing those accounts, would you? You're not on their side, are you? No, of course not. It's a little bit of intimidation, a little bit of, I just want to be left alone. You know what I mean? Think about those people. They're the softest people on earth, even though they have all this power and control. Softest people on earth. They're not going to stand for anything. They have no backbones. The left is not taught to have a backbone. They're taught to be a little conniving. They're taught to be a little underhanded. So they go right along with everything in regards to that. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems so weird. The way it's being covered, all they're talking about is the appeal. That yes, there was some kind of list released, but who can verify that list is real? Who can verify it? No one can verify that, because I saw a list and had all these people on it, and then it didn't have people who when I saw a list and it didn't have Clinton on it, I was like, oh, what kind of list is this? Like, he was mentioned so many times, and not to say that he is, I don't know, but he's mentioned so many times, and then he's not on the list that's really, I was like, what is this? This is nonsense. So, and then those transcripts that they released, and do you remember this person doing anything? Do you remember that person where it's just an interview with one of the victims? It sounds crazy. How could the victim not be like, this guy that's on TV all the time, this guy, this person? How do you not know? I don't know, man. It just all seems so weird. It seems so weird the way they're covering it. And I don't think we're ever going to know. I think it's going to be the new JFK files. I think we're all going to be 60 years old and we're still not going to know anything. Nothing. And also, to this whole thing, why doesn't she say anything? How come usually there's a deal to be cut. Hey, I'll tell you every single person so you can go and get them and let me out of jail. I will rat on everybody. Like, how is that not a thing that's been presented? Or is she like the stand-up chick where she's like, I'm not going to rat on nobody? Like, no way. So the whole thing just seems out of whack, completely out of whack. We're never going to know what really happened. We can only assume. And you know what? With what's happened with Diddy now, we already knew that this was not a conspiracy. I mean, she's in jail for it, everything like that. But now that it's happened with Diddy, And the same thing is happening. The exact same thing. I don't even know what else to think other than it's just everybody in power. I think that's the safer bet. The safer bet is just to think, well, it's everybody that's in power. Like, you know, there's a few people, like I doubt Tulsi Gabbard is involved with it. Like, no matter what you think about her, I doubt she's involved with it. She doesn't seem like the type. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's certain people where you're just like, nah, I don't think. Trump's already been absolved because, you know, the actual people who were asking the questions to these victims, they actually asked about Trump. And the women actually said, no, nothing about him. So they were already pressed about it, and they all said no. And then it goes like, was there only 4 girls? Like, I thought this was a whole giant thing. Like, we're in a dozen of these ladies. What's going on? None of it makes sense. The more you look into it now, currently, to find out things, the oddest thing is how mainstream media is covering it. It's just so odd. So odd. Look into it. Look into the appeals and everything like that. The lists that are popping up, again, they're not really verified. You know, when they said they were going to release something, like you just heard in that video, they said they were going to release something, and then it was just transcripts of the victims being interviewed and being questioned. That's not the list. They should have a legit list. But I've said it in videos before. If you had this massive list, imagine you're this detective, and you have this massive list, whatever agency, police department, it doesn't matter. You have this massive list, and you just have this scroll, this Dead Sea Scroll of just names from everywhere, all over America, the most powerful people. You're going to be like, what are you more likely to do? Think about this. You know, put yourself in their shoes. I have this list, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them all in. And I'm going to clean up the world. Now, that would be the great thing. If someone did that, that person would be known as one of the greatest men in American history. Hands down. Or are you going to do what people usually do, especially people in these places, these high places? Are you going to go, well, I guess now I have the list. I guess now I know everything about these guys. Same thing with the Diddy stuff. You think they're just going to release the tapes for everybody? Here's the tapes, everybody. Or are they going to be like, well, now I have the tapes. Huh. Call that guy in here. Hey, now you're going to do what I say because I have the tapes and I have your name and I have everything. Just so you know. Like, what are you going to do? What do you think, not even you, what do you think they would do? They have all these names from Diddy and from Epstein. They're just going to be like, let's turn everybody in. You're going to be like, let's keep this because we're going to need things. And again, going back to the Twitter files, they've already shown that they need the ear of social media platforms, media companies. You know, Elon Musk blew Twitter off, blew the Twitter files right out of the water. He showed everybody what was going on there, right? Tucker Carlson, a lot of people don't credit him for this, but he's talked about it in many interviews, talking about people in CNN and other news organizations getting their talking points from different agencies as well. People that he knows, right? That's already happened. So we know that they need the ear of these two factions. They need the powerful and the politicians, and they also need the people who are in media. They need that. And if they give it up to all of us, then what happens? All those people, all those years of gathering information, everything's blown out of the water. And now all of a sudden, the next generation of CNN is a bunch of guys like me who are just like, I'm going to tell the truth about everything. I can tell the truth about whatever I want. I can talk about whatever I want. What? No, they don't want that. That's the last thing they want. You think I'm going to be on CNN one day? Well, I will be. I'm going to be the CEO of CNN one day. One day, listen, those ratings are going down. One day they'll be in a position. First it'll be creative director. I'll say, give it to me. And then they'll put me in a hiring and firing position. And I'll be like, Anderson, I need to talk to you. It's been a long time. Wolf, it's been a long time. Caitlin Collins. Oh, it's great to see you. It's been a long time. All of you are fired. Oh, I'd fire all of them. Oh, it'd be so good. And then I'd hire Tim Pool. I'd hire Patrick Bet-David. I'd hire all the people that everybody watches, and I just put them all in one news station, and I'd make them debate every single week. Don't steal my idea. Shh, shh. It's coming. It's coming. One day I'll take over. I'll take over CNN one day, and it'll be the most glorious news day in history. Anyway, just a pipe dream. Anyways, guys, you're never going to know what's going on with this case, but we should keep on looking into it. We should keep on updating. We should keep on verifying. I don't know how exactly. I'm doing my own little bits of research. You do yours, and hopefully we stumble onto something eventually. If anybody disappears, good job. That'll be how you know you've actually hit the right note. You will disappear. You'll be like, you'll just be in some truck with a bag over your head, and you'll be like, oh man, yeah, I guess I was right. Damn. All right. Okay. Well. Anyways, guys, like, subscribe, all that good stuff helps the channel tremendously. And other than that, I'm out.